Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about the center of mass. Okay. In this lecture, I am going to discuss about the what is the basic principle of center of mass and position of center of mass, velocity of center of mass, and acceleration of center of mass. Okay. And thereafter, I am going to discuss about the shift in the center of mass. Okay, shift in the center of mass. Firstly, in the center of mass is defined as, okay, the point or position at which all the particles are situated at a unique point. Say for example, let us consider, okay, I can balance the any object. Suppose if the object is in the shape of a rectangle or in the shape of a cylinder, okay, I can balance, okay, the entire the object at the center. Okay, so I can say that all the particles inside the object are concentrated at the center. Okay, so that point we are calling it as an center of mass. Okay, we are calling it as an center of mass. Okay, firstly I will explain the what is the basic principle involved in the center of mass. Basic principle of the center of mass. Okay, let us consider an object, okay, which can be either regular shape or irregular shape, whatever with, okay, such that the object is placed in a plane. Okay, that means here we are having a frame of reference. Okay, let us consider an object is placed, okay, in which we are having the particles as, suppose here it is m1 having the mass m1, m2, and here m3, and this one it is m4. We are having the four particles of masses. With respect to the origin, the first particle is at a position, that is r1, and second particle is at a position r2, third particle is at a position r3, and fourth particle is at a position r4, such that all the particles are placed in the xy plane. So I can write as r1 bar is equal to x1 I cap plus y1 j cap, and r2 bar is equal to x2 I cap plus y2 j cap, and so on. r4 bar equal to x4 I cap plus y4 j cap. That means here we are having the four particles are there, having the masses m1, m2, m3, m4. Now whenever I am applying a force, whenever I am applying an external force, okay, that is I am writing it as F external. F external, that is whenever we apply an external force, then each particle will absorb the forces, that is F1, F2, F3 and F4. Okay, that is each particle will absorb the forces, that is F1 to F4. Due to this force, internal forces, each particle will interact with the other particles. That is, first particle can have interaction with the other three particles. That means, according to the Newton's third law, whenever the first particle is applying a force on second particle, okay, according to Newton's third law, for every force there will be equal and opposite reaction. That means second particle will also apply force on the first particle. Suppose F12 is the force acting on the second particle. Force acting on second particle due to first particle. Force acting on second particle by or due to first particle. Okay. So whenever a force is acted on a particle, according to Newton's third law, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So my opposite reaction it is F21. That is force acting on the first particle, force acting on first particle due to second particle. Okay, second particle. So due to this, I can write it as F21 is equal to F21 bar is equal to minus F12 bar, and modulus of F12 is equal to modulus of F21. Okay, like that we are having F13 and F31, F41 and F14. Okay, so that is the internal forces or the force acting on one particle due to the other particle is equal and opposite, such that I can write it as F1 bar is equal to F12 bar plus F13 bar plus F14 bar. Similarly, F2 bar, F21 bar plus F23 bar plus F24 bar. Okay, like that I can write for F1 bar plus F2 bar plus F3 bar plus F4 bar. Okay, fine. Now here it is that okay, since F12 is equal to minus F21 or F21 equal to minus F12, so it will get cancel each other. Okay, we'll have only F1 plus F2 plus F3 plus F4 only. Okay, fine. Now how much force is supplied on the system of particles, that much force is absorbed by the particles. That means that there is no change in the force, that is dF is equal to 0. Okay, dF is equal to 0, since according to the Newton's second law we know that F equal to dP by dt, that is equal to 0 or constant. Okay, that is whenever dP by dt equal to 0, we can say that momentum is constant. That means that momentum is conserved. Okay, fine. Suppose let us consider I am having the two particles. Here I am having the four particles. Among these I am considering any two particles. That means I can write as M1V1 is equal to M2V2. That is equal to M3V3. That is equal to M4V4. Okay, momentum of all the particles will be the equal. Okay, then we can say that momentum is conserved. How much momentum is applying on the particles, okay, that is equal to the momentum obtained by the particles. Okay, fine. So I can write this equal to constant. So from here I can say that velocity is inversely proportional to mass. That means that the meaning of this statement, it is that I am having the two particles M1 and M2 such that M1 is greater than M2. Okay, M1 is greater than M2. So since V is proportional to 1 by M, okay, I can write as V1 is less than V2. That means the heavier particle, okay, will move slower and the lighter particle will move faster. Okay, fine. With respect to the, now here it is that why heavier particle will move slower? Because whenever it is heavier particle, we'll have more number of particles will be there. So in between that, okay, in between the system, okay, due to more number of particles, each particle will get collide with the other particles. Due to that, velocity of each particle will be reduces. This is what we will study or you studied in the class 10th, that is in the chapter light, so called denser medium and rarer medium. Okay, due to the more number of interactions between the particles, velocity of individual particle will be decreases. Whereas in case of M2, that is lighter particle, here we are having less number of particles, so we are having less number of interactions or less number of collisions. So velocity will be more for the lighter particle. Okay. Since by definition of velocity, I can say that velocity equal to rate of change of displacement with respect to time. Suppose this dr by dt, I can write it as final displacement minus initial displacement by final time minus initial time. Suppose if initial displacement is 0 at a time, initial time, then I can write as v is equal to r2 by t2, that is velocity is directly proportional to displacement. Since I got that velocity is inversely proportional to mass, so displacement is proportional to 1 by mass. As the mass is more, then the position of particle will be near to the center of the mass and vice versa. Okay, as mass is less, the position of the particle near to the center of the mass, Suppose mass is high, suppose let us consider mass is heavy, okay, then R2 will be less, that is near to the center of mass, okay. When mass is lighter, then position of the mass is far away, far to center of mass, far away from the center of the mass, okay. That is the basic principle involved in the center of the mass, okay. That is for heavier particle, okay, the position of center of mass is near, and for lighter particle the position of center of mass is far away, okay, fine. That is the basic principle involved in the center of mass, okay. In order to get this equation, okay, we got that it is momentum is conserved such that whatever the force applied on the system of particle is equal to sum of the internal forces. Okay, fine. Now here in my next one, it is I want to find what will be the position of center of mass. What is the position of center of mass? This is the first one. Second one, it is position of center of mass. Okay, fine. Now let us consider the xy plane, or you can consider xyz plane also. Okay, you can consider xyz plane also, you can consider. Okay, I am considering xy plane. Okay, in this we are having the particles, suppose m1, m2, m3, like that up to mn are there. N number of particles are there, having the masses m1, m2, m3 and so on to mn, and all the particles are having the position with respect to origin as r1, r2, r3 and so on to rn. Okay, and each particle is having the positions r1, r2, r3 and so on to rn. Okay, whenever we are applying a force, okay, that is external force, okay, I can write as F external is equal to the sum of the forces acting on each individual particle. Sum of the forces acting on each individual particle, that is F1 plus F2 plus F3 and so on to Fn. Okay, fine. Now this F external, that is I am applying the force on all the particles. So that's why I am writing here it as total mass times the total acceleration. Okay, or I can write it as net acceleration. Total acceleration can also be called as net acceleration. Okay, so F1 is the force acting on the first particle. So I can write as M1A1 and M2A2 and so on to Mn.An. That is, Mn is the mass of the nth particle, An is the acceleration of the nth particle. Okay, since the total mass I can write as sum of the masses of all the particles. Sum of the masses of all the particles. I can say that it has the total mass. So from here I will call this as equation 1. From equation 1 I can write as net acceleration is equal to m1a1 plus m2a2 and so on to mn upon the total mass. Upon the total mass. Okay. Now in the equation 1 on both sides I will multiply by dt. Multiply by dt. That means capital M into net acceleration to dt. I can write it as m1a1 dt plus m2a2 dt and so on to mn an dt. Right? Okay. In order to find the velocity of center of mass, okay, we will integrate this equation on both sides. We will integrate this equation on both sides because by definition of acceleration, I can write as, since acceleration equal to dv by dt, so that implies dv is equal to a into dt. Upon integration, okay, integral dv equal to integral a into dt. Integral dv means I can write as v. So v is equal to integral a into dt. This is the basic principle which we learnt in the kinematics. So that is m times integral net acceleration to dt equal to m1 integral a1 dt plus m2 integral a2 dt and so on to mn integral an dt. So it is m times integral a dt. I can write as velocity. So net velocity, that is m1 v1 plus m2 v2 and so on to mn vn. Okay, called as equation 2. So net velocity I can write as m1 v1 plus m2 v2 and so on to mn vn divided by m1 plus m2 plus and so on to mn. Okay, that means here we are having the momentum of all the particles divided by total mass. That will give the velocity of the entire system. That's why this net velocity can be called as velocity of the center of mass. Likewise before, now I will multiply by dt, okay, on both sides in equation 2, which we will get it as, okay, multiply by dt and apply integration, which we will get it as m times integral v net into dt is equal to m1 times integral v1 dt plus m2 times integral v2 dt and so on to mn integral vn dt. Right? Okay na? Is it fine? Okay. Now by definition of velocity I can write as v equal to dr by dt. Okay, likewise acceleration I can write as, okay, r is equal to integral v dt, integral v dt. Okay na? So capital M times r net is equal to m1 r1 plus m2 r2 and so on to mn rn, mn rn. So the net position of center of mass, that is m1 r1 plus m2 r2 plus m3 r3 and so on to mn rn, divided by total mass. Total mass it is given as m1 plus m2 plus and so on mn. That is sum of the masses of all the particles. Of all the particles. Okay. That is what the position of the center of mass. Now here what will happen it is, okay, we will write instead of net position, okay, we will write it as position of center of mass. That is all these particles are concentrated at this position. So that's why this R net I can write it as position of center of mass. Now the particles are placed in the xy plane. So I can have the position of center of mass along x-axis, similarly along y-axis. If it is placed along z-axis, we will have the position of center of mass along z-axis also. Okay. Suppose along x-axis, I can write it as m1x1 plus m2x2 and so on to mnxn upon the total mass, that is m1 plus m2 and so on to mn. Okay. Similarly, position of center of mass along y-axis, I can write it as m1y1 plus m2y2 and so on to mnyn upon m1 plus m2 plus and so on to mn and so on to mn. Okay, like this we will find the position of the center of mass, position of center of mass and velocity of center of mass and acceleration of center of mass. Okay, okay, now fine. Now it is, let us see an example how we will find the position of center of mass. Okay, let us see an example, okay, where how we will find the position of the center of the mass. Okay, fine. Fine. Let us consider the xy plane. Okay, let us consider an xy plane. Suppose this is x-axis and this is y-axis, and here it is the origin. Here it is the origin. Okay. Now we are having the three particles. Okay. Now we are having the three particles having the masses as m, 2m and 3m. Okay. Such that which are placed in the form of an equilateral triangle. Which are placed in the form of an equilateral triangle. Suppose here I am having m1. Okay, and here I am having m2 and this one it is m3, such that m1 is equal to m and m2 is equal to 2m and m3 equal to 3m. Okay, m3 is equal to 3m. Since it is an equilateral triangle, the side of each side of an equilateral triangle, it is equal to a. Let us consider this point as a and this point as B. At point A, at point O, I can write the coordinates as 0, 0. At point B, I can write the coordinates as a, 0. At point A, okay, that is, we are having the coordinates as, okay, draw a perpendicular, okay, such that this distance it is a by 2. Okay, I want to find this distance. That is, by using the Pythagoras theorem, by using the Pythagoras theorem, that is OA square is equal to OC square plus CA square, that is nothing but A square is equal to A square by 4 plus CA square, that is CA is equal to root 3A by 2. Root 3A by 2. So the coordinates at A are A by 2 comma root 3A by 2. That means the first particle is this one. So I can write this one as x1 comma y1 and x2 comma y2, and this one it is x3 comma y3. Now apply the formula, that is xcm is equal to m1 means, first write down the formula, m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3 upon m1 plus m2 plus m3. Okay, fine. Now xcm is equal to m1 means m, x1 is 0, m2 means 2m, x2 it is a by 2, m3 that is 3m, x3 is a by m plus 2m plus 3m, right? Is it fine? Okay. Now here that is 4ma by 6m. Okay, that is nothing but 2a by 3. So xcm is equal to 2a by 3. Similarly, I will find the ycm. I will find the ycm, that is ycm is equal to m1 y1 plus m2 y2 plus m3 y3 divided by m1 plus m2 plus m3. Okay, right. m1 means m. Okay, y1, you can see the y1 coordinate as 0 plus m2 means 2m, y2 as root 3a by 2, m3 that is 3m, y3 as 0 upon the total mass of all the three particles, that is m plus 2m plus 3m. Okay, this I can write it as, okay, root 3 ma by 6m by 6m. So we can write as root 3a by okay, ycm is equal to a by 2 root 3, a by 2 root 3. Like this, we will find the position of the center of mass. Like this, we will find the position of the center of mass. Okay, okay, fine. Suppose let us consider, okay, here I am having the, suppose let us consider I am having an object which is in the shape of a T shape. Okay, suppose like this T shape is there. That means that here whatever the mass distribution is there in this rod, okay, I am shading it in this rod, and the mass distribution of this one, it will be different. Okay, the mass distribution it is different. For these type of objects, we will call it as an non-continuous or discontinuous distribution. For discontinuous distribution, we need to find the center of mass. We need to find the center of mass. Okay, that is how we will find means, for discontinuous distribution, okay, what we will do it is, okay, what we will consider it is that okay, that is the total mass, that is xcm is equal to integral. Since here it is masses are very small, okay, that is continuous distribution, the masses are very small, so I can write as integral dm into x upon integral dm upon integral dm. For continuous distribution, the center of mass can be found out by using this one, okay, that is integral dm means the total mass of the particles, okay, and dm it is the mass of individual particle, okay, mass of the individual particle, okay. By using this one, by using the center of mass of continuous distribution, I want to find what is the center of mass for rectangle, okay, for rectangle, and then sphere, circle, and then cylinder, okay, cylinder, etc. Okay. After finding the rectangle, then I will come to this T shape. Then I will come to this T shape. Okay. Fine. Suppose I am having a rectangular object. Okay. Okay. Such that firstly I am considering the thin rod. Firstly I am considering the thin rod having a length L. This breadth or width, it is very less. It is very less. The mass of this thin rod, it is m. It is m. Okay. Fine. Now I want to find what will be the center of mass of this object. What will be the center of mass of this object? Okay. In order to find, okay, here we are using the densities. Here we are using the densities. That means for thin rod, that is, it is like an one-dimensional conductor or one-dimensional shape. So we are having the linear density. We are having the linear density. Linear density, it is defined as indicated by lambda. Okay. Linear density is defined as mass per unit length. Mass of the thin rod per unit length, that is m by L. M by L. That means in between you can consider at any point. Okay, I am considering an in between the rod at any point. I am considering an infinite small element. Infinite small element. Okay, okay. Having a mass as dm. Having a mass as dm. Okay, and it is at a position x, and this length it is dx. This length it is dx. So I can write as, for linear density for this small element it is, I can write as dm by dx. Dm by dx, that is mass of the infinite small element divided by length of the small element. Length of the small element. That implies I can write dm as m by L into dx. M by L times dx. Okay na? Fine. Okay. Now called as equation 2, and I am calling this equation as 1. I will substitute equation 2 in equation 1. That is xcm is equal to integral m by L into dx. That is the value of dm multiplied by x. Integral dm. This x value will be varies from 0 to L over a length. So 0 to L. In the numerator only, because in the numerator we are integrating with respect to x, whereas in the denominator it is with respect to m. So it is the total mass capital. So xcm is equal to, with respect to x I am integrating, so m by L it is a constant, integral x dx by integral dm. Okay, I can write it as m. I can write it as m between the value 0 to L. So xcm is equal to m by L times x square by 2. That is between the value 0 to L divided by 1 by m. So it is gets cancelled. 1 by L times apply the final value minus initial value. Instead of x, we are applying the final value, that is capital L, and initial value as 0. So we can write as L square by 2 minus 0. So xcm is equal to L by 2. L by 2, it is nothing but at the center. At the center. Right? Okay, na? Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Now ycm, I can write it as integral dm into y divided by integral dm. Here there is no y coordinate. Y coordinate is 0 along x axis. Okay, at any point on the x axis, y coordinate is 0. So that's why the ycm for the thin rod, it is 0. So center of mass of a thin rod, it is L by 2 comma 0. Okay, na? L by 2 comma 0. That is, like this, we will find the center of mass for continuous distribution. Continuous distribution. That is, firstly, we will consider the definition, that is center of mass of continuous distribution. Okay, that is formula, it is xcm equal to integral dm into x divided by integral dm. And then at any point, okay, inside the object, you can consider an infinitely small element, either towards left side or right side or exactly center. Okay, a small element having a length dx, having a length as dx. Okay, such that from one of the end, this element is at a distance x. That's why here I kept as x. Okay, na? Okay, fine. And then I did integration. Now, similar to this one, let us consider if the thin rod, the linear density of a thin rod varies as, okay, lambda equal to a plus bx. Then find the position of center of mass xcm from x equal to 0 to x equal to 2 meters. Okay, how they will ask in the numericals means, okay, if the linear density of a thin rod varies with linear density as lambda equal to a plus bx. Now find the position of center of mass. Position of center of mass. Okay, okay, fine. Position of center of mass we can find as, given that it is lambda equal to a plus bx. That means I can write as, I am considering an infinite small element. Likewise before, I am considering an infinite small element having a mass as dm and the length of the element as dx. That is nothing but dm I can write as a plus dx into dx. Can I write? Okay, called as equation 2. Substitute the value of dm in the equation 1. That is xcm is equal to integral dm a plus bx whole into dx multiplied by x. Integral dm, that is integral a plus bx into dx. They are asking to find the position of center of mass from 0 to 2 meter. So we need to apply the values or limits as 0 to 2. So that is xcm is equal to, numerator will get it as a plus ax plus bx square whole into dx. Right? Okay, between the values 0 to 2. In the denominator it is integral a dx plus integral bx dx, 0 to 2. Apply integration, then we will get it as ax square by 2 plus bx cube by 3 divided by, okay, divided by ax plus bx square by 2. Okay, we are applying the values from 0 to 2. 0 to 2. That is nothing but a by 2 times 2 square minus 0 square plus b by 3 into 2 cube minus 0 divided by a into 2 minus 0 plus b by 2 times 2 square minus 0 square. 0 square means you will get 0 only. Okay, that is numerator will get as 2a plus 8b by 3 divided by 2a plus 2b. 2a plus 2b. Okay, upon simplification we will get the center of mass as, okay, upon simplification we will get the center of mass as, that is 6a plus 8b by 6a plus 6b. Okay, they will give the values of a and b. If they give the values of a and b, then I can find the position of center of mass. Okay, position of the center of mass. Okay, till here read. Okay, once revise this one. Okay, tomorrow we'll discuss more.